two American cars that I would consider to be my dream car. One of them being a 2013 or newer Viper, the other being this right here, a C6 ZR1. So what is going on, you guys? Riley here. Today we are taking a look at the 2010 Corvette ZR1 thanks to Parkway Chevrolet in Tomball, Texas. And I have not been this excited to take a look at a car and review a car in a very long time. I am so excited right now, I can barely contain myself. I just drove it over here, maybe 10 miles, and I'm like giddy like a little kid. So this review is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So before we actually begin this review, I wanted to give a huge shout out and a huge thanks to Parkway Chevrolet in Tomball, Texas. If you guys are in the Houston area and you need anything, whether it's a new car, used car, Corvette, Camaro, Silverado, whatever it may be, hit up Parkway Chevrolet, ask for David Croft, and tell him that RP Productions sent you. He will definitely hook you up. He's a gearhead. He loves cars. So definitely check him out. I will put the links down below in the description, and onwards with the review. So before we take the car on a drive, I wanted to give you guys a quick walk around and just go over some of the little highlighted features that I felt were kind of cool that distinguish a ZR1 from any other Corvette. Most noticeably, right up here you got this clear little window that shows off the LS9 supercharger badge right there, where you can see the supercharger pretty much front and center right there on your hood. So I've always thought that was super cool. And then also you can tell a ZR1 from other Corvettes because of the blue brake calipers with the carbon ceramic brakes. I do not want to know how much a brake job cost on this car. Sure, it's quite expensive. However, I'm sure those brakes are really good. Also, something different from other Corvettes is right here on the fender. As you can see, you got these two little air vents, whereas on the Grand Sport, it kind of looks like fish gills, and the Z06 is a little bit different design than this one. So just something to notice that's a little different. And look at the size of these rear brakes. I mean, my goodness, that's bigger than probably most of you's front brakes, and that's on the rear. It's just insane. This thing is a track monster. When this car first came out, it was just like mind-blowing to everyone that saw it, and they were just like, I can't believe that, you know, that's actually a car that you can just go buy on a showroom with a warranty. And oh man, I'm just so excited. You have the little bits of carbon fiber here and there, such as the side skirts, and actually up here on the roof, you got a nice little carbon fiber weave going. That's just so cool. And then of course, obviously the front lip is carbon fiber as well. Just nice little touches. Now I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, that's cool and all, Riley, but how much horsepower does this sucker make? Well, under the hood of this beast is an LS9 supercharged 6.2 liter V8 that makes a whopping 638 horsepower and 604 pound-feet of torque in a car that only weighs about 3,300 pounds. So needless to say, this is the fastest car that I have ever driven. And I'm kind of scared about that because I've seen videos of like a speedometer comparison between this and a brand new C7 Z06. This car is a lot faster than that, and a C7 Z06 is fast. So there's not really much to see under here. It's kind of all covered up, but it's got a 2.3 liter supercharger on it and a big ass V8 and a super lightweight rear wheel drive car with a manual. I mean, how could you go wrong? This is just an awesome day, and I'm just like giddy right now. So that pretty much sums up a quick exterior walk around. You got 285 tires up front and 335 width tires in the rear. So this thing has a giant footprint going down the road. And then just a quick view of the interior. Pretty much a normal looking Corvette interior. Obviously they all have leather and a little carbon fiber right there, kind of on the around the gear shifter there. And yeah, I mean, pretty basic. It's nothing like overwhelming of like, wow, this is so nice and so modern, because, you know, it is a 2010. And of course the little navigation radio display is kind of an eyesore. But this is coming from somebody who has owned a 2013 Corvette. None of that matters, because what matters about this car is the driving experience, and that is what I'm sure is going to be amazing. So let's take it for a drive, you guys. All right, you guys, well, let's go ahead and fire her up and take her for a drive. So full disclosure here, I did just go film a video with both of my parents reacting to this car in the passenger seat. So that video will be up a few days after the review of this car review goes live. So definitely check that out when it goes live. But for now, we're gonna film the actual review of this car. Now with that being said, my nerves have kind of calmed down a little bit since then, because I've, you know, done a couple pulls in it by now, and I'm just more familiar with the car and kind of, in a way, used to it now. But yeah, 638 horsepower is like absolutely ridiculous, because it just wants to do that like all the time. Now, before I sit here and tell you about 40,000 things that I love about this car, I figured let's start this video off by talking about some of the negatives. What stands out as something that's not so great about the almighty ZR1. So first off, it's pretty noisy in here. As you can tell, I'm talking pretty loudly to talk over the car, and that's kind of to be expected. It's a race car, we'll give it a pass, but just know it's pretty loud in here. That's the same for all C6 Corvettes, really. But I think that this one, for whatever reason, it's a little bit more noisy than the one my Grand Sport was. Also, problem number 2 is I'm looking down at my fuel range, and I just filled up with a full tank of 93 octane, and it says the range is 149 miles till empty on a full tank of gas. So you can do the math there, but I guarantee you the gas mileage is not much more than probably 10 miles per gallon average, if that is correct. But once again, you don't buy this car to be fuel efficient, so it kind of gets a pass there as well. And last but not least, the only real negative thing I can think about is just like the infotainment system is really dated and it doesn't look that great. Once again, you don't buy this car to have a nice interior, you buy it to be a race car, so it kind of gets a pass there. So 3 things that you can totally just overlook and be like, meh, about. And to me, like, that's really all I can come up with about negatives for a C6 ZR1. It's literally pretty close to being a perfect car in terms of just fun, driver involvement, scare the crap out of you. I mean, it just does everything fun and everything exciting that you would want and expect in a car like this, and it does all of that and then kind of takes it up a notch. And that's coming from somebody who had extremely high expectations going into this review. I set the bar super high. Now, when it comes to backroad driving in this thing, it's awesome. This thing just carves back roads. C6 Corvettes are such an amazing platform. And I mean, really, they were so ahead of their time, especially this car. I mean, 638 horsepower when this car came out in 2009 was absolutely unheard of. And still to this date, this car is faster than a brand new Z06 from like 2015 to 2019. Like, that's just insane. So the ZR1 was just way ahead of its time, and it was kind of like the flagship, and still really is. And of course, there's the new ZR1, but to me, the new ZR1 just doesn't do it for me like this car does. And the reason being, if I'm gonna buy a car like this, that's going to be, you know, an ultra high performance American performance car, I want it to scare the crap out of me, and I want it to be a true driving experience. And I feel like with the C7s, they've kind of numbed that experience a little bit, where the C6, it still feels really raw. And that's what I love. Throughout the afternoon of driving this thing, people are pulling up next to me, giving me thumbs up. They're staring at you like, and people know what this thing is, which is really cool. It probably helps that it's bright red and that makes it pretty flashy, but I mean, it's surprising the amount of people that have just realized that, oh, damn, that's a ZR1. I mean, first gear, absolutely useless. Doesn't matter. There's no traction in first gear, so we're just gonna forget about first. What's crazy is that's not even flooring it, and that's me trying to ease into it, and it just comes on so strong, and it's like, we're going sideways now. So yeah, like I said, better tires for sure, ASAP, first modification to this car. And second gear still gets pretty squirrely, but if you start at a low enough speed and low enough RPM, it's not too bad, and you can kind of roll onto it. So we'll do that now. That's really fast, and it kind of just like sends your mind into a different state where like all your thoughts are just out the window, and you're just like, wow. And like I said, you can pretty much do anything in this car. You know, going around corners, it just hugs them so well, and such a low center of gravity. I mean, I just can't get over how good this car is, and the fact that this thing came out in 2009. And it was this good, and it's still, by today's standards, it's an amazing car that can be had for, I believe this one's listed for just over $60,000 at this current time. I mean, it's just like, it's such a bargain, and I think I'm gonna have to own one of these one day. I really do. This is just like, it's maybe the best car I've ever driven. Not in terms of like quality, not in terms of refinement, but just in terms of like, car that has left me like speechless and just like, this is it. This is it. And in the coming days, in the video that I did with my parents in the car, I mean, I'm pretty sure this car blew both of their minds, and especially my father, who previously the fastest car he had been in was a V6 Porsche Panamera, and then he hopped in this, and I'm pretty sure mid-pull he was probably just like, what the hell? Like, what? Now, one of the bad things about this car is that it is so fast. So, first gear, obviously useless. Second gear, pretty much useless. Third gear's fine. But at that point, you're going so fast, it's like you're going straight to jail. And fourth, fifth, and sixth, I don't want to use those. First, second, and third's just fine. But the car is so fast, almost to the point where it wouldn't be enjoyable to go out and like really like dog on your car, because before you know it, you'd be doing 150 miles per hour. Like, you can't do that on public streets. You can't go to a back road and like floor this car. You can go to a back road and like ease into it halfway maybe and get some enjoyment out of it. But it's one of those things. It's so fast. You just have to be like living in the right place for this car. Not everybody could own this car. If you're like around super twisty, windy back roads, I wouldn't buy this car. And if you lived at a place that's just wide open freeways, I'd probably buy this car, but I'd make sure you have a really good lawyer. And by really good lawyer, I mean like lawyer on speed dial, like #1 contact, because you'd probably be using him a lot, because this thing would get you in so much trouble. And I mean, it's cool, but like, damn, it's ridiculous. Now, this car does weigh about 100 pounds more than the Z06 from this year, and you really don't feel it that much. I've driven a Z06 and it feels like a light car. This still feels like a plenty light car. The extra 100 pounds is due to like the supercharger and the extra plumbing and stuff for the supercharger up at the front end of the car. And I read some reviews kind of before I did this one about people saying it like really feels heavy on braking and like diving forward. I don't really feel that. I feel like the brakes are like, these are the best brakes I've ever felt. Who am I kidding? And it's weird because it's a Corvette from, 2009, 2010, and it's up there with standards, like expectations that I would have of literally supercars from today. And it's just mind-blowing. So just gonna ease onto it in second now on a nice straight road. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Like, absolutely insane. I feel like in this review, I'm gonna come across as like not having anything to say. It's literally just drained everything out of me. Like, I don't know what to say. It's just, all right, well, here we are. We'll get a decent little pull in here. Let's go catch up to some traffic, shall we? Be right back. My head is literally on Mars right now. Wow. I seriously don't think I have ever accelerated that fast. It feels like you're at Disney World on one of those roller coasters that just shoots you forward. That's what it feels like, but it doesn't do it from 0 to 60. It does it from like 60 onwards. Like, it's just, you just hold on and you just sit here and just hang on to the car, and it's just such an experience. So in conclusion, if you are looking for a somewhat affordable car that will scare the crap out of you, scare the crap out of all of your friends and everybody that you know, this is probably the #1 choice for you. And keep in mind, this is in bone stock form, so I don't even want to think about what happens when you start messing with, the tune and pulleys and headers, and like, I can only imagine. So before we close the video out, I figured I'd give us one more pull here, just easing onto it. That's easing onto it. That is also easing onto it, and it's literally pulling timing. Oh, did I just shoot a flame? What was that? It's on pretty much the best street tires that you can buy for a car, and it's blowing them off. They're 335 millimeters wide, and it's just like as if you're on hockey pucks. That's crazy to me. I mean, you basically need to put this thing on a drag radial, and that's the only way that you would get to actually do some legitimate pulls in this car without ending up in a ditch somewhere. I haven't driven anything like this before, and I thought my Corvette was pretty fast. It was about 100 and like a little bit over 100 horsepower shy of this thing, but just the way that this car puts the power on, and I just can't put it into words. Like, you have to experience this car firsthand to like, oh, now I get it. Because I've read a lot of things and seen a lot of things about this car, and I'm like, oh, I bet those are pretty cool. And I've always loved looking at them and stuff, but I've never got to experience one. But actually experiencing this car firsthand, it is seriously an incredible machine. hats off to all of the GM engineers that worked on this car. I don't know what kind of magic and witchcraft you guys did to this thing, but it's literally perfect. And I really can't say enough good things about it. So like I said, if you're looking for a new Chevrolet, hit up Parkway Chevrolet. Corvettes, Camaros, Silverados, Tahoes, Equinoxes, whatever it may be, Parkway Chevrolet is the place to go. You can check out their website for all of their inventory, or swing by the dealership if you're somewhat close. Like I said, ask for David Croft, super cool guy, and I mean, the type of people they are to, like, you know, let me review this ZR1 for you guys, and just, it's amazing. But like always, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate the support, and like I said, stay tuned for a few days from now when the video will drop with my parents reacting to this car. It's pretty great, and you guys should get a kick out of it. So just to give you a little eye-opening of what the power's like, we're in second gear.